What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So Sekiro was out today. Some early copies went out to some of the bigger sites under the radar a bit, and some of them are still in progress. Others have come out and the reviews are pretty good. I'm actually playing it myself because Activision sent me a code yesterday, so I checked it out a bit on the Xbox One. I'll talk a little bit about it during that segment, what my initial impressions are on it and everything. And then we also found out a bit more information about Cuphead, Microsoft, Nintendo, and whose idea it was. And it's not really, I guess, who you would think initially, because it's not Nintendo and it's not Studio MDHR, and that leaves one other company. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button. It does help out. Make sure you get subscribed. We do gaming news here every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Have some fun with technology on the weekends. Today, guys, we're going to start with XCloud, because while we keep talking about Google Stadia, XCloud is still apparently coming this year, at least for us to try out, which will probably end up lining up with us trying out Google Stadia. Most likely. So we talked a bit about how can they compete. Well, it sounds like they're going to compete on the Xbox front with blades that are basically Xbox One, so it's very easy for developers. Well, we did have a keynote at GDC, and it was pretty interesting because people were live blogging and tweeting during that event. A lot of images. I'm going to show you some here, actually, that show a few things. This is from Russell Holly on Twitter. The biggest thing I was curious about, all the examples show a controller attached to the phone for it to all work together. Well, they have pictures of this interesting touch adaptation kit that will work on the service as basically controllers, whether it's you got the triggers, you got the face buttons, you have the joysticks, the D-pad. All of that is all interchangeable and can be customized by the people who are creating their game. So any developers can move those around, and maybe they don't need a joystick, they can get rid of that and just have one big D-pad or something. But it's very interesting to see them tackle it in this way with just straight up controls are built into the service, not necessarily designed for just a game. So if you've downloaded a game on a phone, like a fighting game or something, and they give you like a joystick they've made and it's pretty terrible, it sounds like Microsoft is just developing tools for developers to use that are part of the service and can go between games. So that at least sounds interesting enough. Also, of course, any game developed for the Xbox One XS or just base VCR unit will work with XCloud. That's how they're going to do it. Responsiveness of the game, so very low latency if they can get it there, and of course universal controls through touch and everything just working together. That's their biggest chance against Google and their Stadia. Also, the Epic Game Store keeps popping up in the news with their exclusives. But what about a queue to get into the store to play the games you've already purchased? Well, that seems to be something that people are running into, specifically on Twitter, where they are posting images like this one, for example, from NU Spirit, that pretty much shows a queue to get in. We're currently limiting the rate of users signing in, estimated time left, 1:18. Others have actually echoed that same thing happening to them, where they're getting up to 5 minutes worth of wait time. Hard to say if their servers were just hit really hard at that time and they had to limit it. That's not really something I've ever seen with Steam, like, ever, though, where you have to wait to log in to play your games. Again, not sure if something was happening, whether it's there could have been an error, they could have been doing some maintenance, and they had a limited number of servers and stuff to use at the time. But if you're fighting in Steam, it doesn't have downtime or weird issues like this, where it's like a queue to get into an MMORPG, it's not good. You can keep buying exclusives, but eventually your store has to get a bit better just in terms of features and, you know, working. I don't know if anyone else is going to be bringing this up or really going over it on Twitter, because it seemed like a lot of people were running into it, but I logged in and didn't see it myself. So it seems touch and go here and there depending on region or I guess where you're trying to log in from. But we'll keep an eye on it to see if it continues going forward. Also, in the world of stocks, Nintendo and Sony seem to take a bit of a dip, and that seems to be reportedly because of Google Stadia and the announcement of that. Seems to have investors running to Google from Nintendo and Sony, mostly because Google kept taking shots like, oh, the future is not a box, it's this amazing service. See, Google sold everybody on that service that is probably investors and people who are thinking about the massive audience that they can reach through YouTube and Google. Not necessarily how good the service is actually going to be. And of course, games, like how we're all thinking, well, what's going to bring us there? This is just investors, obviously, putting money in to something that they believe will work just because it's Google and their large audience. So you're going to see some reactionary, I assume, articles and stuff to this. Just keep in mind, it's mostly just the initial reaction of, wow, Google's jumping into gaming, let's get in now, because it could blow up. A lot of questions still around Stadia. You know, like, how's it going to work? And what are the games? And how much does it even cost? So, tap the brakes a little bit on that. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start with Walmart. Apparently, trying to jump into game streaming as well. This is something we're going to see probably from a lot of different companies that have the money to try it, because technically they don't have to build a system necessarily. They just have to have the ability to hold up servers and stuff that can deliver the experience to gamers, and they don't have to R&D and stock like a full system on the shelves and worry about quality control and all of that. No, they're not doing that. It's game streaming. They're going to figure it out in the data center and then try to get the game to you. And according to a report that you're seeing here, actually from usgamer.net, that Walmart is talking to developers and publishers about a potential streaming service this comes from anonymous sources. They want to remain anonymous, but you know what, Walmart Canada, you might as well just tell people it was you, because we're all thinking it. Now, so looking at Walmart doing a streaming service is weird. I don't know. For some reason, you look at it, you think about like your parents trying to get on something that's cool for like the younger kids. You know, it feels like that. Although we do need a company to come in and sell a streaming service that's half the quality but pennies cheaper. Walmart can do it. No, it's something you're going to see. You're going to hear probably a lot of different companies pop up attempting, or at least thinking or exploring the idea of doing game streaming, and then they probably realize that there's a lot to go into when it comes to developing and creating compelling games. Everybody wants a Fortnite that they can then stream, but Fortnite was lightning in a bottle. It's amazing to look at from the outside because it's a ton of money, and people are looking at Google as the same thing right now with the Google streaming for games. Amazon's probably the only other company that I can personally think of off the top of my head, outside of obviously Microsoft and Google, who are already doing it, that could do game streaming. I don't really know about Walmart. Walmart, of course, has the presence and the money and stuff to do it, but do they have the know-how, and can they find the right people for it? That's the question. Also, would their brand actually work attached to game streaming? I don't think so. I mean, they have Voodoo, and I mean, who watches that? Next up, let's talk about the Xbox One S All Digital Edition, or the Xbox One Sad Edition. We kind of know it's coming, basically. There's been so many rumors out there about it. I even heard about it last year, that it was coming this year in the spring, and wouldn't you know it, it appears to be coming in May, most likely, after a report was put out by Windows Central, after Brad Sams put out a report on Thurrott.com that it was codenamed Maverick and everything. Well, here comes Windows Central. They appear to have somehow grabbed a document, whether it's from an employee or a marketing team or PR, who knows, that does show the release date. Now, I would still consider this a rumor, although Windows Central is pretty good with their sources when it comes to this stuff, and most likely they have received a document somehow to do this, because what they're saying doesn't sound too far off. I still have a lot of concerns and questions around this system and why it necessarily needs to exist if it comes out at a certain price that I've been told, and I cannot still believe that it's that price. Let's go over this real quick though, because they put out a mock-up of what the marketing looks like. Not the exact one that they've put together just to protect the place that gave it to them, I guess. But here's just the image they have up on their website, and it is the Xbox One S All Digital. You can see at the bottom they have kind of this no disc, like almost like a disc with a slash through it, like it doesn't have a disc drive. Obviously, look at the front of it. Although, to be fair, I guess the Xbox One X kind of hides it underneath the lip, so I guess there's still that. But this is, according to them, a 1 terabyte system that comes with, get ready for this, Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, and for some reason, Forza Horizon 3. I don't know why that is. I don't know why they're giving people that at all. Just give them a Game Pass subscription. It's already all digital, so you're going to use an internet connection. Just put Game Pass in there. Seriously, like those games are basically on Game Pass, right? Minecraft's getting added. Forza Horizon 4, a newer one's on there, and Sea of Thieves is on there. Anyway, it's according to them, it's coming out May 7th, which tells me during the April Inside Xbox, they will probably announce it. It's going to be apparently a worldwide release all at the same time. And I'm going to be curious how this does, because if it does release at this $200 price point that keeps getting thrown around out there, I don't know why it exists. Like, there's no reason for it to exist at $200. It needs to be $150 or less. If it was a 2 terabyte and at $200, you can at least make a bit more of an argument there. But this right here needs to be $150 or less. We're going to see. I assume, again, Inside Xbox will give us pricing details. I don't know if we'll get a press release before that. Probably a press release will show up in the inbox as soon as Inside Xbox is happening and they show that. So we'll see. And then, of course, another blog post. But I'll be picking one of these up mostly because I want to open it up and see what they've changed or moved around in there. Maybe it is smaller. This box is obviously not a representation of how large it is. It's just being shown on the side. So if they make it smaller, and it's them testing the waters. We've talked about this before. Pricing is the last thing. If it's 1 terabyte, it cannot be $200. It makes no sense. Those 3 games might as well be thrown out the window, because once you buy into Game Pass, you have those games and then a better, more current Forza Horizon 4. Next up, let's talk about Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. It's out today. I've been playing it actually and having a good time with it, but if you look on Metacritic, it actually has an 89, which is actually really good, and even places like IGN gave it a 9.5, and I've been playing it myself and enjoying it. It does feel more like Tenchu. So in a lot of those interviews that we talked about before about how they said it was almost a Tenchu game, yeah, it was almost a Tenchu game. I remember playing, Tenchu Z a long time ago. I actually liked that Tenchu game, by the way. Not everyone did, but I thought it was all right. But it's not quite that Tenchu-like. It does have a lot of Dark Souls stuff in it, which is still cool. So if you're a fan of Dark Souls, but maybe you want one that's a bit more agile, I feel like I'm moving around a lot better in this compared to something like Dark Souls, where I feel like I'm wearing a suit that's like 1,000,000 pounds. You're much faster. The blocking is more forgiving in this one as well, something I've noticed. Now, to counter, the timing has to be pretty good, but if you just need to block to kind of get out of the way, there is a much larger window from when you hit the block button to when you actually block. So you don't have to worry about that as much, but there are unblockable attacks, there are grabs, and some of these guys will end you very, very quickly if you're not on your game. So you're going to have fun going through it. Optional bosses all over the place, of course, and it's very open. Basically no hand-holding or anything. You can pretty much just go. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's still tough as nails, so if anyone says it's easy, it's not. It's more approachable because you can pause it and everything, so that's cool, but it's definitely not an easy game. I think people are going to struggle with it, and there's a part in the game very early on that is going to aggravate people to no end. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's like it's like the second or third little boss that I ran into, and he throws you, he hits you really hard, and people are not going to have fun with him. So I recommend doing some sneak attacks on him, like the Tenchu drop or something on him. So just a little bit of advice there. But have some fun with it. Great game so far. I'm enjoying it. The reviews look awesome. And that's just another really good game for 2019 is off and running. Have you noticed this? We're getting some great games early on in 2019, and now we're going into the midway point where Nintendo is going to wake up a bit. We got Mortal Kombat 11 coming soon. This is getting pretty fun. I don't know. 2019 might be giving 2017 a run for its money when we get to the end. So this is a good time to be a gamer right now. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Cuphead, Microsoft, and Nintendo, because more information has come out from GDC. And I've actually been playing Cuphead on the Switch. Sounds weird, I know, because it's not out for ever. But they sent me a review code, so I've been playing it. And I'll probably put up a video either later on today or tomorrow on Saturday over the weekend of just checking it out and playing it, so you can kind of get an idea for it and how I kind of feel about it so far after playing it on the PC when it first released to how the Switch version feels. But we did get some more information about resolution, frame rate, and everything. Frame rate has to be 60. It is, so good news there, right? Because we see, of course, a lot of games have frame rates, but I tried out, if you remember, there's a video actually of me trying it out without a video card in a computer, and it still played all right, actually. So let's take a look at some of the specs that were put up by Nintendo Everything, where they got some of the technical details, which includes it is an in-house port, runs similarly to other versions, which is how I've felt so far. They did a lot of retooling to get it done on Switch properly. 60 frames per second, 720 portable, 1080p docked, so full resolution natively on both ends, which is good to see. Identical output as the Xbox One version, and of course you can use a single Joy-Con or of course the Pro Controller if you'd like. And then it is playable at PAX East. Now, of course, a lot of people are already playing it for reviews and stuff. There are some videos up, and I'll show you guys a bit about that. Like I said, hopefully today or tomorrow. But now the one question that a lot of people are coming up with was, whose idea was this? Well, how did this happen, right? That's the biggest. Everyone wants the backstory for this, and a lot of people at GDC have been asking. For example, this Game Informer interview from Kirk Scott and Jared Moldenhauer. Kirk Scott being on the side of Nintendo publisher developer relations, and then you have Jared, who's on the side of Cuphead as a co-creator, where they talk a bit about how Microsoft seemed to be the side that wanted it on the Switch, which caught some people off guard. I mean, think about that for a second. Microsoft shows up and said, hey, Studio MDHR, Cuphead did really well on our platform and then on PC and everything. It was on Steam. So how about we do, move it over? How about we move it to the Switch? And they seemed surprised by this, and they didn't even really find out through like email or phone call. He just said, oh, I guess it was the people over at Studio MDHR and Microsoft working together. So if the co-creator wasn't even the one pushing for it, it's interesting. Daniel Bloodworth, also from Easy Allies, while talking to people at GDC, said, oh yeah, I was just talking to one of the Cuphead devs yesterday, and he said that it was Microsoft actually approached them and asked if they'd like to make a Switch version. Crazy stuff. So Microsoft is the one who seems to be pushing a lot of these games, not necessarily Nintendo going there and saying, hey, Cuphead, that'd be cool if it was on the Switch, right? No, it's Microsoft. So Ori's pretty much coming to the Switch. Don't be surprised to see that one. Be more surprised if a first-party Microsoft game, because we're hearing these stories. Now, Cuphead isn't Microsoft's IP or anything, right? That's Studio MDHR. Microsoft helped them out a lot getting it done. So there seemed to be some serious loyalty there from Studio MDHR, but Microsoft seems to have no problem letting the indies go and make more money, and Studio MDHR is going to make a lot of money. Also, fun little fact there, the creators of Cuphead really want Cuphead in Smash in some way. I say at least give them an assist trophy, right? Give them that at least. I mean, I guess you could put them in the game, but most likely if they're calling for the fans to ask for it, it's probably not being talked about like we've seen with DLC, but throw them in an assist trophy or maybe a stage or something just for fun. There are some things they can do outside of a full dedicated character. But hey, Microsoft, they're making some moves, so keep an eye out on this year. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it is Microsoft moving IPs around, even to the Switch without any issue. I mean, we've seen it technically back on the DS with things like Blue Dragon, but here we are now with one of their more successful lockdown console exclusives getting moved over, and it runs pretty well. It seems like they put a lot of time into that port. And then what about Walmart getting into the game streaming? Is game streaming just getting out of control? Let me know down below. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.